stronger now. I can feel the change begin. If I know my mind will learn, but I don't know when or how. I will start the fire now. Something big is happening. I can feel tomorrow's sun just waiting to come out. I will start the fire now.
Welcome to this incredibly special edition of Speak Her Mind. As our audience knows, we've been doing these discussions around empowering women in the workplace and really has evolved to talking about life together. And I am so excited, beyond excited. Did I say I was excited? That Lourds Lane is here with us today. And I'm going to introduce her more formally in just a couple minutes. But first, I just want to say hello, Lourds. And what a fantastic opening we had for our Speaker Mind today with your singing team and your group. I can't wait to get into it with you.
Yay, I'm so happy to be here.
It's awesome. Lourds is a really special person, and you'll learn about her work both creatively and charitably for the world today. And so this month we are doing a special giving month in celebration of all of the different holidays around the world to give back and to spend our time, our money, our effort, and our hearts giving back and creating more value for other people. Lourds is an incredible change maker. She's a songwriter. She's a creative innovator. She's an international performer. You'll learn today that Lourds just was about to have her first Broadway show before the pandemic hit. And you'll learn how she dealt with that situation, which is an inspiration to me, and I'm sure is going to be an inspiration to you once you hear the story. So again, welcome, Lourds. And I want our audience to know that, you know, you have created such an incredible career. It's hard to define you in one word. And with all of the creative talents, the show called the Super You and the Super You musical, which we'll also learn about today, you've also created your own charitable organization and philanthropy. And that gives back to children around the world. One of the most interesting things about what I think you've done is you've integrated all of the different pieces of your work into one big ecosystem. And we're going to start today talking about pieces of it. But one thing I want to highlight for our listeners who might want to look it up is the Super You musical itself, who you are the creator of, the innovator of, the designer of, the songwriter of, the performer of, like, name it. You've done it all, and you've created a great community of performers around you to help tell the story. And it's a rock musical. It's a rock musical about a female comic book artist. And she has a life where she learns to love herself more, and she gets over all of those inhibitions that we all have in terms of meeting our goals in life. And through the story, we have all sorts of emotions of feeling for her and how she found her own superhero within herself. And that once she finds her superhero, she obviously can continue her journey of life and really reach her potential as a person and as a woman. So with all of that, what you saw just as you were logging in here before we started our conversation was one of the songs from the musical that was creatively performed as the pandemic hit us all and we were quarantined, and the only way to share stories and song was through things like this with video conferencing. So Lourds, I'm excited to talk to you today. I know that was a long intro, but you deserve it. And I hope for this particular session for Speak Her Mind that all of the people listening, women and men, can be inspired to find their own superhero in their story, which is themselves.
Yes. Thank you.
So you are here with us. You're in New York City.
Yes, indeed.
You are a New York City gal, and you've done a tremendous amount of work there. And I met you there, and I'd love to kind of tell the story of how we met and developed a friendship over the years, because the first time I met you, you were standing on a stage playing a violin like a crazy lady in some kind of incredible passion
At Forbes.
that just hit me. What's that?
It was at Forbes Women. I was
at a women's conference.
Performer of the first inaugural Forbes Women conference.
That's right. And it hit me right in the center of my heart. And as you, I hope, remember, I came up to you afterward and said, let's have lunch together. Yeah! And what did that lead to?
Well, you are an innovator, and in the last company, you were doing some big speech, and you invited me to join you in that process. And it was such an interesting process of co-creation, because needless to say, we were in corporate culture. And I remember working with your team, and it was such a fascinating situation, because there's a part where I invite people to sing along. I invite people to put their hands in the air and to just get in it.
We're going to do it today.
We're going to do it, right? And your team was like, I don't think that our culture will do that. So we need to plan it. So when you come in for the second time, you need to say, in the third section, I'm going to ask you to sing along. So get ready. It's coming. And I was like, oh my gosh, with all due respect, that's not how it happens in rock and roll. It's like when you say, put your hands in the air, that's when the hands go up. You know, it's like, it's spontaneous. Everybody wants to feel that. And I said, I promise you, I've done it in a prison in Uganda, in a women's prison. It's like, it works. If you are up there and expressing joy, everybody wants to be part of that joy and be part of that reckless abandon and have that freedom of a child. Well, she's kind of like stepping into it. And I said, I promise you it's going to happen. And they were really skeptical. Do you remember? They were like, I don't know, Lourds. I think you should prep it. I really do think you should prep it. But fast forward to.
Well, I got off the plane from going to a business conference with my new rocker friend and said, come on, we're going to go sing at the keynote instead of do the PowerPoint version. Well, it all worked out fantastically, didn't it?
Hands in the air. You were in the audience, like totally like, could you remember in the very last section, you were like right in there.
Right on.
And everyone was totally like in it to win it. And the people that helped set it up were like, I can't believe these are our people.
Well, one of the things that has happened in this crazy pandemic is that our work lives and our work culture and our personal lives have sort of merged together. I mean, we are doing business now from our living room or from our bedroom if we're living in a smaller place or need a place to get some silence. And in all seriousness, that's really come together as people are working and living in this situation and doing what they have to do to be a whole person. And it seemed so crazy then that the work culture was so different than maybe your individual persona or the culture that you could bring. And it did work. And I think we broke through and had, I remember, an amazing experience for everyone there. But the pandemic has really changed the way that we interact. One of the things that I've noticed, and it was probably before the pandemic, Lourds, but I'm not sure because I might not have paid as much attention. But every post I see from you, whether it's on this media network or another media network, you start out and you say, I see beauty. Mm-hmm. And it now stops me in my tracks. And I say, wait, Lourds woke up today and she's saying, I see beauty. And then you tell a story of what you see beauty in. So, I mean, the first question I have for you really in terms of this dialogue today is, how do you keep that perspective And what motivates, inspires you every day to wake up and say, I see beauty, when we do have so much in the world we're trying to deal with, and it's hard times for people. Emotionally, it's hard times for some, from a work perspective, from a resource perspective, people being sick. That's what I really want to know. And I know our audience who's going to start to follow you will see, I see beauty.
Yeah, I think that seeing beauty is a practice. So it's like the space between the words. It's like between action and reaction. It's like the wrinkles on someone's face. It's the sunlight streaming through the trees. It's an animal breathing. It's everywhere. And if you, we're in such a rush to do things, and we're on our phones. We're not looking around anymore. And it's like, take a breath and look around, because beauty is everywhere. And the more that you see beauty, the more that you can be beauty, and the more that joy and love can infuse your life. It has to radiate from you. You have to notice it, and it's a practice. You got to wake up and say, no matter what kind of clutter is going on in your head, or all the self-limiting beliefs that you have going on, what's pretty? There's always something beautiful to look at, and
was this mantra, the way that you live in having that positive thought all the time, was that brought on by something, or were you always this way?
It's a practice.
Yeah.
I think that, like, it's not like, there are some days where it's like, I'm looking down. And a lot of times when I see beauty posts, I'm always like, look up. You have to look up, look around.
Yeah.
Like, it's like we're so distracted. There's so much information everywhere, and it's bombarding us. But it's like a practice in looking around and stopping and noticing things.
Well, you're giving us something we always look to in our Speaker Mind forums, which is we always want an actionable piece of advice from our guests and our discussions. And it's very clear in this pandemic. I mean, we're feeling isolated. We're feeling disconnected. It's constantly, we're constantly hunkering down in like every way. Right. And so getting this thought of, put your head up, look up, and see beauty is probably good for all of us. So thank you for that. And, we introduced you today, and I called you, a rocker chick, and you call yourself a rocker chick. And, you were playing the violin when you were 3 years old. You have a talent that is very innate to who you are. And you went in the world to be a rocker, and you played at rock clubs, and you took gigs in the, late at night. And now you've taken that talent and you've channeled it into this very different channel that I think you expected to channel it in when you went into this business. And now it's not only about the music and the performing and the lyrics and all of that creativity, it's also about giving back and helping people find their empowerment. And we'll get to even your foundation that actually funds and helps change people's futures. But what I really want to know is, how did that change happen? How did you go from playing in rock clubs and aspiring to be a musician from that standpoint to what I introduced earlier, which is there's so many words to describe who you are, and musician is just one of them.
Yeah, what's funny is that what happened to me was more like a returning to who I really am. Because when I was in 4th grade, I took this career test, and it was supposed to help you figure out where you're supposed to go in life. Yeah. And my top 3 choices were teacher, and it wasn't like it's not necessarily in this order, but these were the top 3. It was teacher, performing artist, creator, and humanitarian, social worker. They were all in my top 3.
Wowza.
And we had to get our parents to sign it. And so I went to my mom and I said, will you sign this? I got teacher, social worker, and, essentially performer. And she says, well, pick jobs that will make you money, and I'll sign this thing. Right. Mm-hmm. So my my formative years was all about fitting into the box of pleasing my mom. It was all about being an overachiever, valedictorian, went to Harvard, like totally like just the best success, trying to please my mom, fitting into that box. But I was veering away from those top 3 bits that were me, right? So it was just like, I just need to achieve. And then when I graduated high school, I went the other way and became the rebel, became the rock and roll, which is the flip side of the same coin. You know what I mean? Because I'm just like, instead of like trying to fit in and follow the rules, I was like, I'm going to break the rules, right? So now like it's a flip side of the same coin. But the reality is that the complete me is somebody who embraces, like, I was trying to be that cool rocker when the reality is that I'm like kind of goofy and smiley. Do you know what I mean? Like I remember like doing some opening gigs for like Joan Jett and stuff, and people were scowling, and I was like, well, maybe I should be like, you know what I mean? I didn't know, like, but really, this is who I am. Like,
the expected persona.
Exactly. I'm just like, embracing all the sides of me is a lifelong journey, right? And the reality is that I've always been philanthropic. I've always been about serving people, about uplifting people, about being in that place of shifting and changing minds and opening hearts. And that's been like, I was always doing service, volunteering at the Covenant House, nursing homes, children's hospitals. I was always doing that work.
Wow.
And then matter of fusing all the different sides of me, and I'm finally, a full-grown adult and finally figuring it out. And the reality is that my nonprofit is about teaching kids to know all their bits and integrating all their beauty earlier on, so that they don't have to go through this roundabout process to come return to who they really are.
Well, so fascinating. I mean, let's actually talk about your mom for a minute. You mentioned her several times in the last couple of minutes, and I'm quite sure she didn't tell you pick the thing that makes money because she wanted to go on vacation. She told you pick the thing that make money because she wanted you to be independent. She wanted you to be able to count on your own resources to make decisions in life and be safe and well. And I know your mom is an immigrant from the Philippines. I know she's an incredibly strong personality, and I know she's impacted your life in a major way. Can you give us a little context around how your mom, your heritage, the culture that you grew up in, and of course she grew up in, and how it, you think, affected that roundabout process to come around now to who you are?
Yeah, I mean, my mom came to America selling eggs. She never saw snow, so she came here. She had no winter coat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, there are like relatives that it was like a big deal for my mom to come to America. So there are relatives that when they were younger, when they would see a plane, they would be like, oh, that's Tita Ludi. No matter what, any plane would be Tita Ludi. You know what I mean? Because it was like a big deal going to the airport and having somebody go to America. And she brought all the family to America. Like, she sponsored everybody. So she was all about hard work and success and achievement and paving new ground. And she was a doctor in America. So understand, a female doctor in America, during that time, it was like, it's a big deal. So adding on to that, though, she also married a man who was really abusive. So she was a victim of domestic abuse. So what ended up happening is that, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that she's the breadwinner, she's the powerhouse, and he needed to exert some control. And as a result of that, my mom became sort of the one thing she could control is her children, and
and their path for the future, for a better future.
Right. That's the one thing, like that's the one thing I've got to make sure that each of my children are successful and they're going to, learn music at 3 years old and they're going to be a success and they're going to make money in this world that's really hard. And it became extra pressure, extra controlling. And that was the context for everything was like, I just wanted to please my mom,
Yeah.
And so that has to do with, the Filipino roots and being an immigrant has everything to do with all of that, just because she's paved a whole new planet for herself and her entire family. So, she was the pioneer.
So there's a couple different tracks there on that, your mom exerting that influence on you, that I've noticed, I think are maybe interesting to talk about. One is that it wasn't about making the money, like you also had this higher purpose. And so we'll talk about the Super You Foundation in a second. But, a lot of Namely's in the software business. We're in the software business, and we know what it's like to go on the road and raise money for your business, to show that there's a market, to show that there's it's a good plan to invest in my company or my idea. And, you did that too. You went on the road, very similar to what we know in tech. You went on the road because you had this thing called the Super You musical, and you needed to fund it. You needed to get sponsors, and you did that. You went on the road, you told your pitch. What did you learn when you started raising these dollars, when you got your yeses or you got your nos that you want to share with us?
Are you talking specifically about the process of raising millions of dollars to put together a show?
Yeah, you're a female performer. You've got this show that you created. You're on the road now. Like, where are you going to get your money? How are you going to get your funding? You've got this vision to get to Broadway and all these other parts of it. What was that like? And I'm sure you're going to continue to do it, but we understand that as female business leaders, that raising funding is hard. You've got all sorts of things you got to be prepared for. What lessons did you learn?
Well, I have to tell you that it is, it's a lot of times hard for people to process that I could be left and right brain functional.
Yeah.
So as a creator, it's like sometimes they think, well, you obviously can't be good at business, right? But at the same time, it's like the people who are going to put in money are going to put in money because they believe in me, right? That's really, I got to be there and be the face of it no matter what. So it's a matter of like owning your power and knowing that there are definitely people, and I've been in situations where it's like, so you're the creator, and so they don't necessarily want.
Where's your business manager?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why I found it really helpful and amazing to have a really strong partner in this. We are completely in lockstep with each other, but for people who can't process all of it, it's like, it's okay. For me, the bottom line is the vision, the bottom line goal.
Yeah.
I'm not here about my ego. It doesn't matter to me. You have to be strong in order to be in all these meetings with all these people who may be like, you're the creator, I don't necessarily want to hear from you. I want to just, I want you to sing and dance and then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to be kind of thick-skinned to know that exists, but at the same time, I don't care. The point is there's a vision that needs to get out in the world, and if it needs to come from another person who's in lockstep with me, I'm cool with that.
You know what?
I mean?
That's actually, again, okay, advice number 2, like that you're putting in here. I mean, a lot of the women that we know who are raising money for their businesses, whether it's the software business or the tech business, or in your case, the creative business and entertainment business, you know what? Make sure that you do have a partner. Make sure you do have people around you. Don't have to continue to, try to fight impossible obstacles. Get some help and get it done. So you've done that. You've got some help, and you were just about to get it done, and you're getting it done. But I want to talk about the Broadway show and what happened there. But I think our audience will understand that better if you just tell us a little bit about the foundation. So I've mentioned it a couple times. You said you want to help the kids. Tell us about the Super You Fundation. It's giving month. It's giving time in the season. We want to make sure our audience really knows what you're doing there.
Right. So the story of Super You musical is about a female comic book artist who learns to love herself when her own superheroine creations come to life. So the theme of the actual show is actually about finding your own voice and finding your power. And during the developmental run 8 years ago, I did the first pilot program of the Super You Foundation during the run of the show, where I would go into a school in Harlem, kids how to find their inner superheroes through music and arts. And basically, I was just teaching them what I wanted to hear as a child. This is the kind of affirmation I wanted to hear. And I remember the parents and the teachers were like, I want to take this class. And I didn't go to school for education. It was just intuitive what to talk about, because there isn't this sort of real deep dive and social emotional sort of, well, we're getting more of that now in the education system, but real character development and knowing that a child is a good person is probably the best quality that they can take from school, as opposed to like getting good grades, right? You know, like I was taught the opposite. Get good grades. That's the most important thing. But more importantly, it's like, who's going to sit next to the kid at lunch who has no friends? You want your child to be that kind person. And so really unearthing that comes from valuing the child, because when a child feels valued, they feel inspired to add value to the world.
Well, I've had the incredible opportunity to see the show a couple different times in a couple different venues. And honestly, it's more than, at least what I got from it, it's more than the child, even though the child is the center of the foundation. I felt inspired. I felt, well, I've got to kind of work on getting over my own insecurities or things that I didn't go do because I had, worries about them. So I think that the story is actually inspiring overall, particularly to females who are in business, in the world, trying to be all of these different people and successful people in life. And the story, to me, brings to life your real confidence in who you can be and finding the things that are really special about you, but have a really hard time admitting or being confident about.
It's about integrating all those different parts of yourself, because all those superheroes are all part of who the protagonist is. But she doesn't embrace all those, so it's very similar to my own journey, where I didn't embrace all the sides. It's similar to all our journeys.
It is.
How much
similar to all our journeys, and so many females deal with imposter syndrome and what that holds you back from doing or saying or pursuing. And I think this superhero story just sort of brings it to life in your own self and says, no, hold on a second, I've got something of value here, of great value.
It is true. I mean, I think that, the best way to tackle, you mentioned imposter syndrome, the best way to tackle that is to own all the sides of yourself. So your scars, wear your scars with pride. It's like a lot of people are going to be funnier than you and more organized than you and smarter than you. And even the smartest of people who you emulate will go through those spins of like, oh my God, I'm in this room with these people, and who am I, right? It happens to everybody. But the reality is that we all have something that is uniquely you, your super you, your own way of communicating, your own way of sharing your talents. There's something that is your own voice that you need to dig deep and own all of it. And if ever there's a point where it's like, I don't feel like I fit in here, it's a matter of saying, I don't know, and owning it. Own it. Own all of it. It's cool because we're all of it. No one is superhuman. No one is that's the whole point of our nonprofit, is that it's not about being these untouchable superheroes. It's about our humanity.
Yeah.
All of it, which is all of it. It's all your scars and all.
And I'm so glad you said that, because that really grounded the story to help people understand that it's really about humanity. It's really about vulnerability. It's really about taking those chances and driving forward. And actually, your Super You was sort of challenged, I would think, I don't know, but I would guess, like, you worked your whole life for this incredible musical. You brought these talented people together. You raised your funding, and God knows what else it takes to get a chance to be on Broadway. I mean, a little bit of science, a lot of hard work, and a little bit of luck, and whatever the formula is. And there you were I'm going to say last year. I want it to be last year. It was earlier this year, in this year of 2020, where you were going to have that chance. And then the world had a global pandemic.
Yeah, we were.
And you have, I mean, that must have challenged your tenacity, tiger, super part, and everything else about you and all the people you put together to go do that. How did you handle it?
Yeah, we have this really incredible Broadway veteran team that really believe in our show, and we were ready to go. So we were supposed to open on May 27th. And then everything got shut down. Now understand, this was the pre-Broadway run, but we have the trajectory was rolling. There was like steps of like, this is when this run ends, we're going to go to Broadway.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like there were these steps that we were taking, and now everything got pushed back. So needless to say, it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking for everybody. The whole world came to a screeching halt. But here's the thing. A lot of our team at the time was giving advice to me, saying, you know what, just do nothing, because there's nothing you can do. We just have to wait this out. And when Broadway opens again, then we'll start up again. But just don't just sit back. It was like this overwhelming feeling of heaviness, this feeling of I can't, we can't, don't do, don't move. And it was this general malaise that was seeping into the industry. But we are Super You, right? That's not really what I'm about, right? That's not really what our team is about. And we were not going to sit back. So what we did do was, a month later, on June 27th, we staged safe, socially distant shows on pickup trucks at a drive-in. And we brought our Broadway team to this drive-in and totally tricked it out. So you can imagine, it was the only drive-in open at the time. So, you know, there's a lot more drive-ins as the pandemic started to, go in the next upcoming months. There was a drive-in started to become the thing, right? But this was earlier on, where like there was one drive-in, right? And we went to that one drive-in and we figured something out, because it's all about reshaping, creating, innovating, and standing in your power. And that's what we stand for.
I mean, again, the creator and the innovator, right? Where you said, this isn't going to stop us, brought those pickup trucks, turned them around and made them a stage. The Namely team was so inspired by this. They found the clip and we'd like to show it now.
Yay.
Something big is happening. I can feel tomorrow's sun just break it is such a show with so much to say.
Unbelievable. I mean, people finding joy and singing and dancing in the middle of a pandemic. And that's a song that I have learned to love called Stronger Now. We showed it at the beginning of the show here. And the lyrics are pretty darn inspiring and so relevant to today's times. You also have another song. It's called Could It Be? And you know, I've become a big fan. I follow you on Spotify. I listen to your music. And I've also seen you several times perform live. Can you give us a live segment of Could It Be, Lourdes?
Sure. Actually, this is not yet released. So this is a special little thing because you at Namely will get the sneak peek.
Yeah.
We're going to do it live. Okay. Yay.
Here we go. Psyched.
Another day that people die. No one knows the reasons why. A flood of tears today, and then tomorrow storms again. Another day that people kill, and we protest but do it still. See, that gun belongs to everyone until the killing ends. Could it be the world is ending? Could it be this is our final try? The sky will cry till we know better. This is our time to come together. Another day we choose to fight. Win or lose, who knows who's right? And behind our pride, we hide ourselves, seeing no one else. Another day our earth will burn. What will it take for us to learn that the hate you see in someone else is coming from yourself? Could it be the world is ending? Could it be this is our final try? The sky will cry till we know better. This is our time to come together. I believe that we can lift each other, lift each other. I believe that we can break through this night and be the light. Break through this night and be the light. This could be a new beginning. Maybe we can choose to be the light. Only love will shine forever. This is our time to come together. A new beginning. Maybe we could just be kind. Lead with love, 'cause we know better. This is our time to come together. To come together. To come together. To come together.
Wow, wow, wow. Wow. Lourds, that was incredible. What a beautiful song. We heard it here. I didn't realize it was the very first time to hear those lyrics put to your sound and your voice and your violin. I can't tell you how much that was amazing for me, and now I cannot wait to get this out for other people to see. Thank you so much for sharing that with us in the privacy of this webcast.
Yeah, it's fresh for me. Could it be the name of the song? And I'm going to be releasing it, and I'll give you a sneak peek. I'll send it off to all the Namely folks because you were the first to.
What a treat. What a treat. And I already follow you and the Super You musical on Spotify. So now when I'm driving in my car to the grocery store, I can sing along in the privacy of my own car. It's so beautiful. You know, we're going to come and bring the program to a close. And one question for you before we do that. And, you know, I've known you for a number of years, and I'm really grateful to be able to call you a friend. And I know you bring this tremendous energy. You appear to be this incredible extrovert and always on. And it's hard. It's really hard. There's so much happening emotionally, whether it's what's happening in the world or the weight of the work that you do with the children and all of the issues that you encounter. How do you do it? And how do you take care of yourself? Because like many women, you are doing so many things at once and trying to accomplish all your goals. Give us some of your words of wisdom of how to keep your health and soul all balanced here.
Especially dealing with youth that are at risk or underserved. It's definitely, there's a lot of outpour. And it's no different than a mom and what we all have to go through. And I think that the key is to live a balanced life is you need to schedule it. You need to schedule time for yourself, you know? So it's like between, you can't give if you have nothing. You know, if you are depleted. And as a matter of fact, I am not an extrovert. I am actually an introvert. I source and get my energy from being alone, and I need that alone time. So the pandemic actually, like the shutdown concept of, you know, being away from people wasn't necessarily like, oh, this is a shocker for me. This is really hard for me.
You know interesting.
What I mean? It's like for me, it was like, okay, a Tuesday, you know, because I'm, you know what I mean? Because listen, I can get out there and perform, but it's a situational extrovert.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a different kind of thing. And I think that the most important thing we women can do is to not forget about this body as well.
Yeah.
We've got to take care of this body, or else we've got nothing for any other body. And that equals, okay, on Friday, that means spa. On, you know, that means, you know, read a book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the only way to do it, is to actually create some space for yourself and make it a priority.
Well,
you know, and that's
you have so much to give, and you do it all the time. And I think that advice is helpful to all of us. And scheduling is the trick. You have to make it as important on your calendar as everybody else who's on your calendar, and you have to be there too. So if you're motivated and interesting, Lourds' foundation is called the Super You Fundation, and you can find it through the Namely event page that the team put up to share this event with you. So please feel free to check it out and donate if you can, give if you can, but use this as an inspiration to give and to be a part of whatever you want to do to help the world around you and the community around you during this holiday season.
Yeah.
Lourds, I wish we were in the days of a big hug, because that's what I want to do with you right now.
So 100.
Thank you.
And now listen, I appreciate you mentioning the nonprofit, because we deal with at-risk special needs youth, and any little bit really helps to empower these children to remember that their voices matter. So thank you so much for mentioning
Absolutely.
us and for whatever you all can do.
Thank you, Lourds.
And I appreciate you so much, and it's so great to see you. And I squeeze you.
I squeeze you back.
You.
And the Namely team, we all give you a big hug and squeeze. The best of wishes to you and to your entire team at the Super You musical. We're all in line. We're in the virtual line to watch it in whatever form it comes out. And we're with great gratitude for you to participate in Speak Her Mind. That's it for Speak Her Mind, our special giving back episode with Lourds Lane. Bye-bye.